Hello! Happy Homebrew Wednesday, folks. Good on you, cheers. Look at that. Oh, can you guess what it is yet? Oh, I shouldn't say that, should I? And I thought, I'm melting, folks. I've just come back from the job centre. So, I found a spare dishcloth, really good for mopping yourself down when you're sweating your nuts off. I've just come back from job centre, and sitting in that car is it's scorching, folks. So my hair's a bit of a mess and I'm a bit of a mess. I'm not very organised, so I'm going to take this off because I don't really need that on and get myself sorted. Hello, how are we? Thank you to the new subscribers. We've got a few new subscribers this week. Ooh, a burp on the truth. Thank you to the new visitors to the Turbo Cider group on Facebook. You're very welcome there too. Just search for Turbo Cider Makers group on Facebook if you're not already there, and we will welcome you with open arms. What else is going on, folks? I've got a little clip to insert in here, and it's just basically the Old Rosie, me growing up some Old Rosie yeast. Now I've done it in very small stages. Oh, and I thought, folks, and I thought, and I should have mopped myself down before I started this, shouldn't I? Literally just walked through the door, got myself a beer and plopped myself down in front of the camera. So yeah, I've done it in a few stages. Initially 500 millilitres in the Old Rosie, the original Old Rosie bottle. So all I did was I poured the bulk of the Old Rosie into a decanting vessel, to you and me, a big jug, and drunk it. It's very pleasant. Unfortunately it wasn't cold. I like my cider cold, folks. So about 90% of it I poured into a jug and drunk. I left about 2 inches at the bottom where all the sediment was. I was very careful not to pour the sediment into the decanting vessel. And I put half a teaspoon of yeast nutrient in and I stuck it on the stir plate and I left it there for 2 days, and then I let it rest for a bit. Took it off the stir plate to let all the yeast settle to the bottom, and then again I decanted off the bulk of the apple juice down the sink this time. So this is no good to me. Left, you know, again 2 inches at the bottom. Did the same thing again with a litre and then a litre and a half. And what we've got going now is what you'll see in this next clip. Bubbling up. We know it's fermenting. It's gone really, really cloudy, which is what I was expecting. And there's some bubbles on the top, which also proves to us that there's some activity going on in there, which is good. Growing up Old Rosie is very easy, folks, but you don't always succeed. It's a hit and miss affair sometimes, or it can be. I've tried 3 times and I've only been successful twice. The first time nothing really happened, but I did try using the bottles, and I don't think there's as much yeast in those bottles as there is in the big, you know, 2.5 litre glass that you can get. But I'll show you that in a minute, you can see for yourself. Always make sure that when you cover up the top of the vessel with the foil has been sprayed with Star San or your sanitizer of choice. Okay, because if it gets foam, which in this instance it has done, it will hit the top of that vessel, and it will come in contact with the foil, and you know, if there's germs on it, you're going to get germs in there and you'll ruin your yeast. So always make sure you spray it with Star San, or as I say, your sanitizer of choice. So that's going on. I'll show you that in a minute and we'll come back. Alright? So there we have it, folks. There's the Old Rosie. As you can see, it's been fermenting. Now this is the 3rd iteration. I started off with 500 ml of apple juice. Then I went up to a litre, and then I went up to a litre and a half, and now it's finally starting to bubble up And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it for another 24 hours and I'm going to stick it into a bigger fermenting vessel and do a large batch. Hello, welcome back. That was very easy to show you, wasn't it, really? What else have we got going on then? We've got an amber ale in the fridge of doom. That's basically finished fermenting, I think. It's coming towards the end anyway. I took it out. It looked like it had stopped fermenting. Obviously, because I'm using a lager yeast, it takes a little bit longer. And it was at 1020. So I got a stirring stick, paddle. Sorry, I've got a lot of wind and I'm having trouble getting words out. I got a paddle, obviously sanitised it, sprayed it with Star San and that, yeah. And I gave it a little gentle stir because I don't want to get too much air in there, okay, just to make sure that the yeasties are up from the bottom and they'll start eating again. Hopefully it'll be fine. But as it's a lager yeast, I'm going to leave it for 2 weeks minimum, maybe 2.5. We'll see how it goes until it's ready. And I'll use the attenuation trick that I mentioned in last week's Homebrew Wednesday video. I don't know why I'm going that way. It could as equally be that way. In last week's Homebrew Wednesday video, I'll use that trick to make sure the yeast is finished and then I know. What else is going on, folks? Not much really. This is the steam beer, folks. I should have poured it on screen really, shouldn't I? It's not too bad. It's very early days though. It's only been in the bottle after carbonating. Bearing in mind it takes about 2 weeks to carbonate and then age. It's only been in the bottles after carbonating for another 2 or 3 weeks, so it's still quite young. But having said that, it's very pleasant already. It's quite dry. It smells like a lager pilsner. You can very dry, quite malty. But having said that, it's all right, you know. It's not bad at all. But because the weather's so hot, it's cider weather really, folks. So I'm going to go to the shed later and I'm going to dig out my 775 and I'm going to put some of those in the fridge and we're going to have some of them during the course of the week. This weekend my girls, my family, are going away for a week to camp. So I've got the house to myself for a week, which means I can do more casts. So I'll be casting probably a few times during the course of next week and having a bit of a laugh. Hopefully my sister's going to join me on one of those, and maybe some other surprise guests. We'll see how we roll. So watch out for them, folks. I appreciate you joining the cast. Last weekend's cast was really good. I had a wonderful time during last weekend's cast. We had some great music on there, really good choices of music. Every time I do the cast, I think I'm going to be repeating myself this week. I'm only going to be playing the same tunes that I played last week, but surprisingly enough, you know, once I hand the room over to you guys come up with some really good tunes, and tunes I haven't heard for quite a long time. And although, you know, I like to stick to sort of soul, disco, jazz, funk, that kind of thing, and pop and rock, you know, I'll play anything really. And you guys are really, really coming up with the goods. So thank you for that. You help me keep it interesting, and we're getting more and more viewers, which is a joy for me, because I like to make people feel warm when they enter my room, and sort of make them part of the family, you know. And it is a family, folks. You are my virtual friends, my virtual family, really, because you helped to pick me up when I was feeling low. Insert the song Joanna here by Calling the Game. Joanna. No, I've done that joke already. Forget it. Forget it. So yeah, thank you for tuning into the cast, and if you don't already tune into the cast, look out for me on Vaughan Live, vaughanlive.tv/LakeyBloke. You'll find me on there. Underneath the cast screen, just to the bottom right, there's a follow button. Click that and you'll get an email when I cast. And you'll be welcome into the room, and you can chat with other people that are in there, and we generally have a good old laugh and a joke and take the piss out of each other, and we have a good time. Well, I do, and I know the people that keep coming back do, so must be doing something right, folks. What else have we got going on? Not a lot really. That's all sort of homebrew related. I really do have too much going on in the shed at the moment. I think I've got about 20 crates out there now, and each crate holds 12 bottles, so the brewing is gonna die down, folks. In fact, I don't intend to brew any now, certainly not for the rest of the summer. So the weekly chats will literally just be me chatting to you, saying hello, and that sort of thing. Maybe sharing a drink with you, sharing a pint, and a little bit of a chat about what's going on. So thank you for sticking with me. Thanks for subscribing. Hopefully you've picked up a tip or two from me during the course of the last year or so, nearly a year I think I've been doing this, and you've put it to good use, especially the cider makers. I know you guys, the turbo ciders, you like those, and you've learnt a lot hopefully from me doing various bits and bobs on here, and you've picked something up and you're creating a cider that you really enjoy. It was a joy to see someone on the Turbo Cider Makers group this week give me the thumbs up after I've been suggesting for months and months and months that they use the 775 White Lab cheese to do a cider, and they tried it and they gave me the thumbs up and they agreed that it's, you know, the best cider they've done. That to me is what it's all about, folks. Is it, you know, if you listen to me, and generally I wouldn't, why would I lie? I ain't got nothing to gain from it, have I? I've been doing this for a while, and if I find a yeast that I think is better than any other yeast, I'll let you know. If I find a yeast that's better than the 775, I'll tell you. I haven't yet though. I can't, honestly, just a plain cider, no additions, no pectolase, no malic acid, no back sweetening, just bog standard supermarket juice and some liquid yeast. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can do. I am going to do some experimentation at some point with a Mexican yeast, see what sort of properties that infuses our apple juice with, because I do have some Mexican yeast I need to use up. But for the time being, folks, the brewing is going to die down, other than the one I've just shown you, the Old Rosie. That'll be it really. I'm going to use that as a starter for probably 10-11 litre batch, and we'll see how that turns out. I imagine it's going to taste like Old Rosie, so we'll see how we get on with that. Again, the procedure is just going to be apple juice and Old Rosie yeast, folks. I'm not back sweetening, I'm not putting anything else in there. Hopefully the yeast will have all the properties it needs to provide me with a nice smooth cider. But the 775 is a magical yeast, and it does weird things that I can't quite explain. It's got a unique apple profile of its own, and even in the most thinnest of apple juices it will inject a smoothness into it, and it'll provide you with a more flavoursome product than you would normally get if you just used a dry cider yeast, because they can end up quite sharp and you get that turbo cider twang that makes you go like that. You go, ooh, like that. You know what I mean? Not pleasant, that, is it? And you end up ultimately disappointed because you think, well, is this it? Is this the best I can do? Well, the answer is no, it's not the best you can do. You just have to invest, I'm afraid, in some liquid yeast and grow it up on a stir plate. If you haven't got a stir plate, build one. If you can't be bothered to build one, don't use a stir plate, just leave it on the side. Every time you walk past it, give it a little shake, you know. Get some CO2. Yeast is like that. And grow it up, folks. It's the only way you're going to get your money's back off of your initial investment on liquid yeast, because it is about £6 plus postage and packaging. You're looking at £8 or £9 to get your liquid yeast, and you can only really get them online now. So grow it up, folks, stick it in the fridge, grow batches and batches of the stuff, and you will never look back. I can assure you that much. So from me, folks, oh, it's not bad, you know. Still a bit young, and there's quite a tang in there, so it needs some time, and that's what I'm going to give it, folks. I'm going to leave it in the shed before I try it again, probably another few months, along with all the other crates I've got in there. I need another barbecue at this rate, don't I? So thank you for joining in on the cast again, folks. Thank you for subscribing to the YouTube videos. Thank you for watching the YouTube videos all the way through to the end. I know it can be tiresome. Sometimes I haven't really got very much to say, but I always manage to make it last at least 25 minutes. It's really a good thing for me. It's sort of therapy for me, because I am out of work at the moment, and I am at home, and I do have a lot of time on my hands. So knocking these videos out for me and doing the casts is a little bit of therapy. It keeps me sane, helps me stay on the right track without wanting to jump under a bus or anything like that, you know. So I thank you for tuning in and thumbsing up and sticking with me. Hopefully you're getting something out of it as much as I do. See you on next week's cast, folks. I might start a little bit earlier this weekend. As I said, my family are away, so I can probably kick in Saturday afternoonish, 4 or 5 o'clock. I'll jump on there whenever I feel inclined to do so. Hopefully see you then, and if not, I'll be back next week, folks. So ta-da for now. See you next week. Ta-da.